This webinar is being live streamed. The host has started broadcasting the webinar on YouTube.
We are live streaming.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Unless you are speaking, please place your mics on mute. I want to welcome everyone to the June 23rd Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting. Accessibility Advisory Committee meetings will be held electronically at this time. The public can observe meetings of council and committees by viewing the live stream of the open session part of these meetings, which can be accessed on the city's website at richmondhill.ca or on the city's YouTube page linked from the city's homepage. We have received regrets from the following committee members for this meeting: Paul Scotland, Bernardina Bathory, and Kidambi Raj. The public had the opportunity to submit written correspondence regarding agenda matters by email to the clerk's office. All written correspondence received by noon today would have been included on the agenda. None was received. The public also had the opportunity to apply to appear as an electronic delegation, either by video conference or by telephone today by noon, and no delegation requests were received. So let me just access our agenda. Okay. Again, welcome everybody to our AAC meeting prior to the summer break. We have before us an agenda, and it's not too long, and we have two presentations actually. One presentation from Mohammed Kashani, who's Manager Design and Construction, regarding the annual Infrastructure Delivery Division update. And Brian Inglis will just give us a small introduction into our agenda item 4.2 regarding the Municipal Elections Accessibility Plan. So without further ado, could I have a member of committee please raise your hand to adopt the agenda? Anybody? Lopa, thank you very much. All those in favor? Just raise your hands. Thank you. Carries, appears to be unanimous, but I think it carries. Next item. Does anyone have a disclosure of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Let's go to agenda item 3.1, which is adoption of the previous minutes. I gather everyone has read them, and I haven't received any comments from members of committee that they would like to discuss or correct anything. Is that correct? Are all members of the committee okay with the minutes? Okay. Could I have a member bring forward the minutes, please, so we can approve them? Just raise your hand. Lisa, thank you so much. Thank you. All those in favor, just raise your hands. And I think we have a unanimous. Thank you very much. Marisol, I'm assuming that you are.
Yes.
You are saying so. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, excellent. Minutes have been approved. Now, let's go to scheduled business. Agenda item 4.1, presentation from Mohammed Kashani, Manager Design and Construction regarding annual Infrastructure Delivery Division update on active projects. Please note this will be a 15-minute presentation by Mr. Kashani. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Kashani. Welcome to our committee. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we look forward to your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Silovitz, and good afternoon to all of you. And this would be my pleasure to deliver this update, annual update. I think the last time it was last year that I was in this committee, and it is my pleasure, and not only my duty, actually, according to the AODA guideline, also it's my pleasure as well. So this is going to be a short presentation, and if we can go to the next page, please. The agenda for today, I'm here to report back what has been completed last year, and also I'm going to discuss about the projects that is in the book for us this year, and also as part of the design, and also what we are going to complete this year as part of the construction. And one more thing that I just added to the agenda this time, because of the COVID and the whole situation, how we deliver those projects and gather information from the community that affected by these projects. We conducted the public consultation in a electronic fashion, and I just want to report back to the committee how we did that, and at the end we have time for question and answer. So if we can go to the next slide, please. In general, all of my team members that consist of project managers, we are all trained and aware of the AODA compliance for all of our projects. So the AODA compliance is one of the top priority as part of our design and construction. So we do have checklists for designs that will be completed during the course of design, which is at 30%, 60%, 90%, either in-house by our staff, or if we are hiring a consultant, this is one of the requirements that we review those ones. And at the end, before we go for tender, I have to sign up on all of those ones. We have a pre-tender checklist. So collectively, we make sure that the AODA compliance for all of our projects, that includes the linear projects such as a sidewalk, trails, a multi-use or multi-purpose path, and bridges, culverts, those kind of accessibilities will be dealt with. Also, if we can go to the next page, we do the same approach for the park projects, because we understand that parks are going to be designed to include all different users. And also on top of the AODA compliance, we comply with the Canadian Standard Association CSA Annex H guideline, which is tighten the whole requirements to make sure that what we deliver as part of capital delivery for the city of Richmond Hill, they are all compliant with the AODA guideline and acts. And this will be done not only during design, also during construction. Although we comply with, we process the construction as per the design and detailed design that has been produced. But at the same time, during construction, we make sure that the site, let's say, for instance, if we are closing the sidewalk or anything like that, we make sure that we do provide access during construction as well. And the final product obviously is compliant with the AODA. And just wanted to pause here to say that these collective approaches being shared among the consultants, contractors, project managers that I oversee them. And these are, we need to make sure that we go through frequent sort of trainings to make sure our knowledge is up to date. So not only we apply these knowledge, also we make sure that we are staying on top of our trainings. And we do have those trainings records for our employees in the city of Richmond Hill as well. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So what we have completed last year for the linear infrastructure side, we did about 1 kilometer of sidewalk along the Bathurst, obviously on the west side within the city of Richmond Hill, from Shaftesbury to Gamble. We had new sidewalk on Powell Street. And also we did a new signalized mid-block pedestrian crossing on Trench Street from Alexander Mackenzie High School to the hospital, because it was there were lots of jaywalking in that block So high school, when during the breaks or like lunchtime, they used to go to Tim Hortons, to the hospital, and they were going, it was very dangerous. So that was another safe mid-block pedestrian crossing with the full signalized. So this is signalized such a way that this signal will be activated to stop the traffic. And I do have some photos to show that at the bottom. If we can go to the next slide, please. And for 2021 park projects that we have completed, we completed the private Charles Hill Park, Horner Park, Humber Flats, Millard Marsh. We did Phillips Park and Russell Farm Park, and also we completed the Lenox Park and Wyndham Park. We have some photos here to show you. And as part of these park and parquet deliveries, for instance, in one of the photos it's showing, but it's very small. So we make sure that the playgrounds are accessible, the trails and the bridges and all the sidewalks in adjacent areas are accessible to be inclusive. And also on top of all these things, we make sure that the light and illuminations are also being taken care of as part of our sidewalks, trails, parks to enhance the accessibility. If we can go to the next slide, please. So here, I just have a couple of things to show you how well we did our job. One thing is, typically we don't receive thank you letters. We always receive complaints from residents, which is, that's good. That will keep us on toe and make sure that we are doing what we have. We are here to serve the community as a whole. But it is nice to receive these kind of letters. And let me just read some of these, some portion of this letter. For instance, this resident mentioned that they live in Pearl Gate Court beside the Phillips Park, and they had a special needs child. And one of my PMs, Christina White, really working very diligently to meet with this family to make sure their need being met. And this was really interesting. That's why we are doing what we are doing. Besides making a living, honestly, the key is to make sure that the feedback that we receive from community is reassuring that we are on a right path. They said that they are very proud to live in Richmond Hill and to deal with our team like that. So although I couldn't give any raise to Christina, but really I talked to her and appreciated what she is doing. This is one of the appreciation letters that we received, and a couple of phone calls that I don't have a record of, but and many complaints that we deal with, and we appreciate those ones as well, because we need to make sure that the community being heard. If we can go to the next one. Also, as a result of this, we received 2 awards this year, but one of them related to the accessibility that I want to highlight here. It was for the Lenox Park. This Lenox Park is kind of like, because German Mill Creek going to the middle of the park, so we didn't have a bridge between the 2 parts of the park. So we had a playground on one side and a green space on the other side. And in order to have this accessibility, we had to build this 16-meter galvanized bridge that really bridged the gap and make it one united park from one side to the other side. And as a result of that, we got the award, and we were very pleased to share that with you. Thank you very much. And if we can go to the next one. So what is the plan for this year and going forward for construction this year? We do have various locations that we do sidewalk. We have 8 different locations that we are building different segments of sidewalk. Either most of them are missing links that we are linking the sidewalks that left for whatever reason, because the developer didn't finish the job or whatever the case might be. We are just making sure that the linkages are there to access from point A to point B. Also, we do have Bethesda Road from Anchusa to Leslie is about 2 kilometers that we are including a multi-use purpose path along this one connected to the existing sidewalk on the south side of Bethesda. So we are not only making, this is a dirt road right now or gravel road that we are putting asphalt on top, and plus we do have a 3-meter wide MUP beside that. Prior 9 trail exit in and entry expansion that we are actually finished this project just last week. Carville Park is another park that we are it's under construction right now. Fulton Parkette revitalization, Great Land Interim Park that is under construction, and also Maplewood Park. These are the related projects with the accessibility that we make sure that the trails and connections and everything is as per the AODA guideline with respect to percentage, there are a specific grade percentages or detectable warning place, and all those requirements being met as part of these projects. If we can go to the next slide, I will show you what we are working on as part of the design that will be delivered mainly next year or in the future years, pending council approval, obviously. So we do have walkway illuminations in various locations to make sure that they are being lit. And we do have 8 different locations that we are working with development group to enhance the pedestrian crossing experiences and the crossovers being delivered by our team. The traffic signals for the West Beaver Creek and West Pierce Street will be, right now is a stop at all, each direction, and we are putting a full signalized intersection over there. And then Bethesda will be, the second phase will be continued from Leslie to 404. Bayview Hill Park revitalization phase 1 is coming next year, and this is a big project, very excited. There are lots of features in this park. Harding Park will be done next year, and we are doing the design. These are the designs that we are working on right now. And then Minthorn Park and Raccoon Park. And if we can go to the next, I'm just looking at the time because I want to mention that this piece, public consultation.
That's okay. Sorry to interrupt, Mohammed. Just you keep going. That's fine until you're finished.
Thank you. So I'm coming here once a year as a minimum to satisfy the AODA requirements. One of the requirements is to consult with this committee and make sure that you are aware of what we are doing. Also, we are consulting with the community that being affected by these projects. So we put out notices. Before COVID, we had open sort of drop-in meetings for residents and affected residents, and to just let them know what is the projects coming up and gather the information. And we had a pen and paper available in an old fashion. This COVID forces us to just do it in a different format, which is to do it electronically. And we utilize the web page that we have. We do have a website and web page for all the park projects, for instance, and we do have another one for the linear projects. So we do send out the mail out to everybody, and we ask them to direct them to go to these website, and we do have a fillable forms. And what we experienced that we gather more information in this format because it's people that are very happy to stay at home and just provide the information. So I completely understand. We try to put those meetings, in-person meetings after work hours, even at 6 o'clock, and still it was not convenient for everybody. But in this fashion, we gather more information, which is very interesting to share with you. And we are going to continue with this format. We may still introduce again the same in-person meetings or Zoom meetings, but what we gather is that this format working very well. And we are trying to promote some of the bigger projects in our social media. And at the same time, we are available to send them if anybody wants the hard copy, still that's available as well. And all in all, to say that we gather the information and the requests from the community being affected during design. And not only that, then we engage with the local councillor. And at the end, we send our notices to the council as a whole. Also, we send it to the emergency units at the construction stage, at the design stage. We send it, for instance, if there is any school, high school, or any other schools in the area that they may benefited from the park or our project in general. We extend our communication and consultation with them as well. So that's pretty much it. If you can go to the next one, I think, yes, that's question and answer. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. That was so informative. I really appreciate that. The design and infrastructure part of our parks department is so critical to what we produce for our residents. And sometimes it gets overlooked. So I want to make sure right here that it's not. And I want to thank you for everything that you've done. I want to hand this over to the committee now. So can I bring this forward, please, from a member of the committee, that the presentation from Mohammed Kashani and infrastructure, design and infrastructure regarding annual infrastructure delivery division update on active projects be received. If I could have a mover for that, thank you, Simon. So we have it on the floor and we can open it up to the committee for discussion, and I'm sure Mohammed will gracefully take any questions we have. Simon, you're the mover. Would you like to say anything? No?
No, it's fairly straightforward. There's nothing really that stands out to me on this right now. Thank you.
Okay, that's excellent. Thank you, Simon. Is there anyone on committee who would like to make a comment or ask Mohammed a question? Anyone? No? Okay, good. That's excellent. Marisol, you're okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay, good. So thank you very much, committee. What I just wanted to add was a couple of things. Mohammed, a question to you. The type of surface that we put down underneath the play equipment, is that fully accessible by all by people in wheelchairs or parents pushing a child in a wheelchair? Because I remember long ago what it was like pushing a stroller on some surfaces and you just get bogged down. So I just want to know from you that we don't have any problems with that.
That's an excellent question. So right now we do have some existing ones that are like sand, and sand was like the old, that is not accessible, the existing one. What we are doing, we are not putting back sand, we are putting back the engineered fiber wood chip, they call it, but wood fiber, they call it the engineered wood fiber. So these are different than the wood chip because that has been engineered to the point that they have the grooves such a way that after the initial settlement, then it creates an accessible surface. According to AODA, those wood chips are accessible. And we do have another type, which is the rubberized. Obviously, that's the one that everybody they want. But I have to say, based on the park plan that has been approved yesterday, I guess, or 2 days ago, and even we had it since 2013, the park plan calls for those rubber surface only for the community parks and for the destination parks, basically the bigger parks. The smaller one, the parkhead and local parks, the reason why, to be honest, they are very costly and the maintenance is on them. So they are, to give you a quick ballpark, like it's 5 times more expensive, and their lifespan is the same, or they have to be, so the lifespan of each play structure is 20 years, but those are 10 years. So every almost 8 to 10 years, you have to go and replace them. But as for the wood chip, that can be topped up, and still they create an AODA surface that they can go on top. So
that's great. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to all the projects that are going to be completed, hopefully through this year. And we have, just speaking for Ward 5, we have 2 wonderful new little parks that have been finished. That's Lennox and Private Charles Hill. Beautiful parks. I recommend a visit by all of you. If you've got children or grandchildren, go ahead. They really are fabulous. The one at Lennox in particular, because I drive past it all the time. It's such a you guys have done such a wonderful job. The picnic area with the umbrellas and the tables and the space around there for a wheelchair for access is fantastic. And I've had so many people from this little local area around Harding and Lennox and Cedar and Palmer sending me messages of thank you, because they really love it. And the bridge connecting the 2 sides now over the creek is so well received. So thank you so much again to all. In your department, you do a superb job, and we look forward to getting another update hopefully next year. And so thank you so much, Mohammed. So we have this on the floor. All those in favor of receipt with thanks, just raise your hands. Thank you. I believe that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Mohammed, thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay, that was terrific. Let's go down to agenda item 4.2 regarding the 2022 Municipal Elections Accessibility Plan. That the 2022 Municipal Elections Accessibility Plan be received for information, and that all comments be referred back to staff. And we have staff member Brian Inglis, who's just going to give us a short introduction, and then we can open this up to committee. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Chair Silvitz. Good afternoon, Chair Silvitz and members of the committee. Today, we are asking for your feedback on the draft accessibility plan for the 2022 municipal elections. The plan consolidates accessibility measures, both specific to elections and general to the city, that will help us to ensure that no one will face barriers to participating in the election. The plan describes how we will identify and address barriers through ongoing consultation, how we will provide accessible information and communications, how we will ensure accessibility of all in-person activities, including candidate nominations and in-person voting, how we will ensure accessibility of the voting process, and how we will communicate accessibility considerations to candidates and election officials. So I appreciate your consideration of this plan very much. We're happy to answer any questions you may have about the plan, and we look forward to receiving your comments and addressing any accessibility concerns you may have to bring to our attention.
Thank you very much, Brian. So we have item 4.2, that the 2022 Municipal Elections Accessibility Plan, which is connected to this agenda, be received for information, and that all comments be referred back to staff. Could I have a mover for that so we have it on the floor? Any one of our committee would like to move that forward? A hand? I just need to see a hand. Thank you, Lisa. Moved by Lisa. Thank you very much. Lisa, as the mover of this motion, do you have anything you wish to add? Any comments to send back to staff? No? Okay. Anyone else on committee? Have you read the report? Do you have any concerns about accessibility for the October 24th municipal election? Just raise your hands if you want to speak. Simon, go ahead.
Hi. Not so much the Richmond Hill plan, but last week in one of the Metroland media newspapers from a sister community, so from the Markham Economist and Sun, there was an article about a woman who is a former member of Markham's AAC, who had the unpleasant experience of going to vote in the recent provincial election, discovered that the accessible front doors to the location at a school were restricted only to people who were attending a certain event at the school. She and her husband were directed around the back with her walker and his cane to the back of the school, where there was a large step and no railing. And they proceeded to bring the election materials out to them out in the open while she sat on her walker and decided who to vote for. So my question is there a way to ensure when our election rolls around in October that none of the locations will be holding any events that restrict access?
That's a great question. Thank you, Simon. I see our erudite clerk, Mr. Stephen Hike's photograph on our screen, and I imagine you want to step in here. Go ahead, Stephen.
I do. Thank you, Chair. Brian could have answered this question, but I think this is best coming from me since I'm the guy that's fully responsible for administering elections. While I can not say that our locations will not have other events available because some of them are municipal facilities that have bookings and they're schools, I can say with 100% certainty that I will not allow any of those facilities to direct our voters away from accessible entrances.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I thought. Thank you, Stephen. Simon, is that okay for you? Anything else you want to add?
No, that's good. I wanted that confirmed because I read this article and I'm going, well, really? That seemed just a little outrageous to me. But thank you so much.
I agree. Thank you very much, Simon. Is there anyone else on committee who has any questions?
Yes, it's
Marisol, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I wonder if we are going for people who are visually impaired, if the municipal election is gonna have Braille templates to mark the vote, or are you going to use a machine? What are you expecting to do to resolve this problem?
That's a great question. Do you mean marking where the polls are to be located?
No, to mark the candidates in the ballot.
In the ballot. Okay, good enough. Thank you. Stephen, do you want to take that?
Certainly, I'd be happy to take it. Thank you for the question. I do understand what you're referring to. You're referring to where sometimes there is a feeder that would allow the ballot to go in where a candidate's name or information about that office would have been translated into Braille for someone who's visually impaired. Most elections have moved away from that because they're actually very difficult to get templates like that actually work, that meet the standards. And so we use other means of ensuring that a person with a visual impairment can vote independently. Perhaps the greatest one that we have available is the use of internet voting for the 2022 elections, which, as the committee will be aware, we used in the most recent by-election. Our internet voting system is fully accessible and compatible with screen readers, which is the most effective way for us to permit people with visual impairments to vote in an independent fashion. In addition to that, of course, at a vote center, we do have some tools to allow persons with visual impairments to mark a ballot independently. We use magnifying sheets, but we do allow friends. So we have a variety of tools which we are able to deploy. Unfortunately, the one of the template with the Braille of the candidates named, it actually has become very disused in elections because it's very difficult to actually get them set up to work.
Thank you, Stephen. Marisol, anything further?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, you're welcome. Anyone else on committee who wishes to pose any question to Stephen O'Brien regarding our municipal election, October 24th? No, we good? Okay, well, just from my end, thank you to Stephen and his staff who go through a remarkable journey every 4 years and sometimes one in between with a by-election in order to, that's true, the school trustee, you're right, in order to bring forward our elections process. It's an enormous undertaking. And Stephen luckily has a marvelous group, him and Ryan and Brian, you're all involved, and you do, Donna, you do such a terrific job. And for that, I, as the councillor, definitely thank you. I have one question, like through myself to you, Stephen, cutting on to what Marisol was saying. Walk me through the process of a visually impaired person coming in to vote, with a companion, right? Usually one would feel that they would have a companion. What is the process that they go through in order to be able to vote and distribute their vote into the machine?
Thank you to the chair. And Brian could have taken this one too.
Okay.
I'm not trying to take away from Brian here because he's done the lion's share of this. So if a person with a visual impairment came into one of our vote centers and they wanted to vote by the paper ballot option, as I said, we have the one tool where, for someone who does not have complete visual impairment, we have magnifying glasses that allow the magnifying shields and stuff that allow them to enlarge the visuals on the ballot. But if someone needs an assistance of a friend, it's actually the same for any person that needs assistance. And it could be a person with a disability. It can be issues with language barriers who needs assistance with translation. A voter is allowed to come in with that person to provide assistance. The only requirement from them is that that person who provides assistance has to take an oath of secrecy and an oath to do as directed by the voter. So obviously we would encourage in those circumstances that it be someone that you trust, but we require them to take an oath, and that they will act faithfully, follow the directions of the person exactly as provided, and to maintain the secrecy of the vote. That's one of our biggest concerns is the secrecy of the vote. So we do that by oaths, which is a very common feature in all elections.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. That's very interesting. What about for someone who is hearing impaired? I can't imagine that at every polling station, although we probably will have less as well because we're having online voting like we did with the by-election. What if someone comes in there and they are hearing impaired? I can't imagine that we have someone who can speak via sign language at every single location. So how do we assist those individuals?
Sure, that's a great question, and it goes beyond that. It's not possible to have someone that is trained in sign language at every location. Not everyone who has a hearing impairment are themselves familiar with sign language, and similar with visual impairments, there's ranges, right? I'll be honest, the method we have it's pretty old school and it's pretty simple. We have scratch pads and papers and pens.
Very good. Yeah, and that works.
It works. It actually is a very effective tool. Yeah.
Yes, I will often say, if only I had a pencil. It does work. Yes. It does. Thank you so much, Stephen. Brian, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, just thank you very much for your time and your comments.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. And we look forward to the election. And thank you again for everything that you do in order to bring us to that very onerous job sometimes. Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. Could I have all those in favor, please? Just raise your hands.
Yes.
Oh, good. That's unanimous. Thank you very, very much to everybody. Okay, agenda item number 5 is just to confirm the date of our next meeting, which is set for Thursday, September the 15th at 3 p.m. We only have a few meetings that will take place in September before everything closes down prior to October. in preparation for the election. So is everybody okay with that date at this point? Does anybody have a problem with Thursday, September 15th? Your calendars to this date. I know it's, it's far away, but if you do, you just let us know. Just send an email to myself or to Stephanie, to anybody, to any one of us, and then we'll take a look at the calendar. But for now, we seem to be okay with that. Marisol, you okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay, good. All right, that's terrific. Thank you. So just before I call for a motion to adjourn, I just want to wish everybody a wonderful summer. Stay safe and healthy. Please remember that we're still in a COVID pandemic, and Lisa's wearing her mask there. Everybody should still be wearing masks out in public. There are 2 Omicron subvariants that are now making their rounds, and they are proving to be very stubborn. And vaccine not working. So everybody be fully vaccinated, get your boosters, and remember to practice what we've all learned over the past couple of years about how to stay safe and healthy through the pandemic when we're out in the public realm. I still wear my mask. I wear it everywhere, and it's not coming off for quite some time, that's for sure. So with that, is anybody on committee? Would you like to say anything before we break for the summer? Anybody got anything you'd like to say? No? All good? Lopa, go ahead.
Thank you so much. It's the same topic that I had emailed about. And because I had been myself have been facing so much, mostly it's because of, say, for example, there's a pizza store or anything, the huge delivery truck is blocking at least 3 accessibility parking lots, and they're doing the delivery. Even after being told, they use the slang, which I cannot use. So is there a way what can we do? I think even putting the shop owners being responsible for it, if something could be done.
Thanks, Lopa. That's a very, very good question. And thank you for interjecting it into this meeting. What I will do is I will speak with our bylaw staff and our parking staff, and I'll see if there's anything further we can do. It's a very difficult thing to patrol. As with any of the disabled parking spaces in all the parking lots, there's always some issue that arises, and we just don't have enough bylaw officers to be everywhere all the time, of course. But I will speak to Tracy and Rose, and I will make sure I'll CC you and Ryan as well, and I'll make sure that we're doing absolutely everything we can. Perhaps some more signage might help with something about fines, but generally people don't take any notice of that, especially sometimes the delivery trucks, because they're in a hurry. They've got to go from one place to the next place, and it's just, let's do this. But thank you. That is very, very valid. The one thing I would say is I will also make sure that the location you are referring to, Lopa, if you could just shoot me a quick email so that I know for sure which the location it is. I'll make sure that parking is there on a regular basis, and you can have I'll give you their contact information so they can be contacted. Okay.
Sure,
thank you, Lopa.
So much.
No,
Okay.
you're welcome.
Hi.
Anybody else? Patricia, go ahead.
Okay, so in the city of Richmond Hill, there are still I have a ramp in my van. So the parking spots are not wide enough. You need to park, even if I park, let's say, the farthest to the left, and then you have a ramp, and then when you get off the ramp, you have to have that space to move, right? Like it's very. So what happens is I tried to find a parking spot that's over a curb that I can gain entrance onto the sidewalk, or like at the end of a parking lot or something. or I've even, I even have a pylon that I put down in the second spot, which just happened to me actually on Monday, but that's Vaughn. It was Vaughn. But a man decided to move my pylon and I was blocked in. So he didn't think that I should do that I'm parking. And it was amazing because there were two people that were talking to him to say, you have to move, because they had seen me come out of my van. And so what happened was so the only way for me to get in my van, he went in the building, in the medical building, he couldn't care less. So another gentleman just jumped in my van, and I have one of those seats that go back and forward and turns, right? The driver's seat. And he fixed it to a point where he could move my van back and I could just gain entrance. But I think my request is, when new parking lots are going in, right, somewhere in the city of Richmond Hill, that somehow, I want to be on board with the parking lot and how the accessible parking, because we had this conversation years ago about Hillcrest Mall, right? And they say they have the required, but if they only then they have these silly curbs there, right? If they didn't have the curb, or at least if they had the curb, then the curb would have a place where you can drop off. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean, Patricia. Thank you. And recently, of course, because I now have a disabled husband who we still need to, we've got a parking tag, and we need to go backwards and forwards in and out of disabled parking spaces. I know exactly what you mean, because we've got this walker that has to come out of the back seat, and you need that space, that double wide space, in order to be able to do that. Or some of them that I've noticed, between the two parking spaces, they'll have a yellow zebra stripe and then up to the curb, right? That helps as well. But I don't know what the rationale is for how many spaces do they make as the double wide as to the single spaces. I know we have a very specific formula in planning that we have to work with as to how many disabled parking spaces you have per parking lot, no matter how big it is, or per site. So that's such a great question. I will, on your behalf, I'm going to speak to planning, and I'll get some better answers for that. But I agree with you. It's definitely something that anyone who is disabled, or who deals with an individual, a family member who is disabled, you don't realize these problems until you have to deal with them. So I will speak with planning, and I think we could actually maybe bring it back. I don't think we can bring it back in September, but maybe we could bring it back and onto our agenda and have that discussion with someone from the planning department. Ryan, do you think we can do that? Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Silvitz. Yeah, we will work with city staff for both the parking that Lopa was bringing up, some perhaps from bylaw or community's standards, and we will inquire with planning. I will have to interject. We have lost quorum.
Oh dear. Okay.
Well, Lopa has
2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there's 6.
dropped. So we're just trying to work to get her back in. Sorry, bear with us for
okay, sure. One moment,
Okay,
thank you, Patricia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one moment, Simon. Sure. Just let Ryan see if he can get quorum back. We need 6.
Sorry, we're just trying to get her on the phone just to join back in.
Okay.
Hi, Councilor Silva. She's joining. She lost her internet connection. She'll be right back.
Okay. Okay, should we wait for her?
Yes, please, just so that we can get the adjournment and then we're good to go. So she's just trying to connect right now.
Okay, no worries. Simon, is it just like a regular question?
Comment on what Patricia was saying, if I may. Whatever happens, whatever planning decides one way or the other, none of it ever becomes retroactive. None of the other parking spaces that are out there that are already designed poorly will
That's
be
correct.
retrofitted
Yep.
to come up to required standards.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that the law
How could we have
says that there will be X amount of spots for X amount of accessible spots for X amount of parking spaces. I know they're supposed to all be 12 feet wide. 12 feet wide isn't often large enough, but they'll say, well, we complied. You can't make us repaint, remove, take away other good parking spots for other people just to make these spots better. It's never going to happen, sadly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And that can be further to the discussion that we can have with planning when they do come and speak to us, hopefully in September. But thank you. So that's a very, very good observation. Okay, Lopa, thank you for coming back. Members of committee and staff, thank you for your patience here. We have quorum back, and we can now move to agenda item number 6, which is a motion to adjourn. Again, I want to wish everybody a wonderful summer. Please stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you back in September. If you wish to get in touch with me or with Stephanie over the summer, please don't hesitate to contact us via email. So from a member of committee, may I have a motion to adjourn? Anybody? Just raise your hands. Patricia, thank you. Oh, thanks, Marisol. Thank you, Patricia. All those in favor, just raise your hands or say yes.
Yes.
Okay, I have that unanimously. We are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful summer. Thank you to staff for all that you do.
Okay, enjoy the summer, everybody.